we are working on building your client tracker. Why we need this is for accountability in between the phone calls that you're having with your clients. So whether they're phone calls or email check-ins, I want to see that they're making progress in between our calls too, right? With that being said, create a Google Doc or a spreadsheet. There's an example, there's a resource in the packet as well. We want to be covering things like date, their weight for the morning, their protein, their carbs, their fats, so what they're hitting that day and what their target macros are. You can see in the example that I have a section for a difference calculation, and I also have a section for refeeds. That's up to you if you want to include that or not. Sometimes it can depend on the level of clients that you're dealing with. As far as anything else to include in there, I wouldn't overcoach clients. With the spreadsheet, I want you to keep it as simple as possible, and I'll tell you why in a sec. But other things to include without overcoaching are going to be fiber, sugar intake, and then I like to leave a little section for notes. So that can kind of help your clients come up with things during their check-in, make little notes of their workouts or their energy or if something was off. The reason why I don't want you to overcoach with all of the extra biofeedback in their tracker is because not every client's going to appreciate filling out sleep, energy, mood, appetite, things like that every single day. So I want you to look at it more as over the course of a week or over the course of your last check-in that you're asking those questions. So that's where the next assignment comes in at, which is building your check-in guide for your email clients. So that's where you're going to be asking, how was your sleep for the week? How was your energy? So we're looking at it overall instead of day to day. We're making it more of like a broad approach because it's much easier for someone to focus on the bad day of sleep that they had on Wednesday versus overall they slept really well. The basic biofeedback markers that you want to include in your check-in guide are things like sleep, energy, appetite, any changes in body composition, any change in goals, what their weight was if you're having that client weigh in. Another thing I always like to have clients focus on is acknowledging a breakthrough that they had, and it doesn't even need to be nutrition related or fitness related. It could be something completely separate, but it was a big breakthrough for them and it was something positive for them to focus on. The next thing is helping your clients set goals and when to know to revisit them. One thing that I've noticed with a lot of my clients is that everyone comes to me, they want to perform better and they want to lose weight, right? Very rarely do we get an easy client that is just looking for general wellness. It's great when we do, but unfortunately we usually have to give someone a little bit of a push to help them create their goals and keep them focused. So when you're having your clients set goals, and sometimes you might have to push it a little bit further on their intake call and ask them, okay, what do you mean by this? So I typically give some of my nutrition clients homework and I say, increase performance and lose weight. What does that mean to you? Be specific. Is it a certain number for your snatch? Is it a certain number with the weight? Not that I always like people to focus on the scale, but the more specific they can be with their goals, the better. Also, we want to make sure that they're attainable. If they're not attainable, we need to educate them why. Maybe they're going through a reverse and it's going to take a little bit longer for fat loss. Educate them on why and help create another goal with them. And then last thing is to create deadlines. So we always want someone to have something to look forward to have a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, whether they're in a cut or reverse, give them a deadline or a timeline at least for them to be able to look at. With that being said, there's always a time and a place with our clients that we might need to revisit their goals for themselves. You know, if they had a fat loss goal and they aren't responding to the reverse like we wanted them to, we might have to extend that out a little bit. But the more we can keep them focused on something that we're giving them or just giving them, again, light at the end of the tunnel, the better off we'll be. So if your client is starting to fall off a little bit, you're sensing that they're losing focus, maybe they're having more nights out or they're just not as precise with their tracking, dig into that, see what's going on with it. Maybe they're just feeling super bummed out that they haven't made progress, even though they have with biofeedback. Get them to focus on biofeedback over weight as much as you can, but at some point there may be a point where you need to reassess their goals with them. Next up is understanding your process. So as you take on clients, you might feel overwhelmed with what forms are going out between intake form, welcome packet, client tracker, check-in guide, all of these things. So I want you to sit down and schedule it out how your forms go out and when. So what goes out before their intake call, when do you take payment? All of these things are important, and all of these forms that need to go out to clients, when are they going out? I want you to feel confident in your process, whether you're taking on one client or 10 at a time, it should be easy for you. Another fun homework assignment that we have for you that's forcing you to get in touch with your creative side is building some client PDF resources. So I've provided you with some resources and some ideas for these topics. I want you to choose 5 of them and make them look super clean. Remember, these are topics that may be super overwhelming as you're explaining them to clients. Simplify it, put it in a one-page resource, make it nice and clean, put some pictures on there, but it's just basically a resource that you're providing your clients in educating specific topics. So for instance, sleep, the importance of sleep, hydration. It could be something like the effects of hormonal birth control, gut health. There's so many topics that you can dive into. I want you to create 5 and send them over to me. That's it for this week. By the time you finish this assignment, we should have most of your foundations dialed in, and you should feel pretty confident taking on a new client.